Okay, the next section of readings that we have to do with adults using technology. And my first question to you is, who do you define as adults? When I say adult learner, what is the first image that comes to your mind? That is very important because that's going to define your practice. And I've intentionally included two readings, and I want these readings to kind of challenge your thinking of a traditional learner, a traditional adult learner. These two readings, the adult learner, well, they call them older adults, and their population is adults from 65 and above. And you have to understand that more and more our users of technology are people who are 65 and above. And that's going to happen more frequently now because you have a lot of people who were at the front end of technology when most of these internet things and all got started, and they actually did move with the wave of technology. They might not have used it as often, but they knew about it and they were familiar with those concepts, and some of them have used it as well, and they are all now moving into your older adult population. So there are certain misconceptions that I think we need to put an end to now as we are moving along with the changing demographic. We need to stop this in my opinion, this misconception that older adults are resistant to technology. The notion that older adults don't use technology. Those are a lot of assumptions that maybe had merit a few years ago. I don't think they do any longer. And I can tell you from my research that the adopters of technology, the wholehearted adopters of technology, were those who were older than 50 years old. And they were the ones who were enrolling for new technologies and trying new things out, versus the younger adult instructors who were very, very resistant to trying out any technology. So, and that was a point where I had to then rethink my assumptions, and it really reframed things for me. You also have these numbers now where older adults are the ones who are embracing social media because they love the connection that comes, and the readings touch on that as well. The people who are most prone to online scams are older adults because they are the new population who are coming into that. I do know that in India, the population of older adults are the ones who are completely enamored with Facebook and WhatsApp and sending those random chain mails because they have now found this new technology and they're amazed by it. And so just rethink where you stand and what your assumptions are about who are adults, how they are using technology, and why they're using technology. With that said, I do think we need to look at barriers that do come with being an adult. And one of it is just fine motor skills. We take smartphones and touchpads for granted. Have you considered older adults having trouble with smartphones and just typing the correct alphabet on those little phones with their fingertips? It seems easy to us. It isn't all the time. So little things like that make a difference when you're dealing with adult learners. When I say physical issues, right, things like just simple eyesight. When you create content for adults, older adults, or just adults, for me, I have trouble looking at content that has very poor contrast. You want to make sure that your content is placed in a way that it is easy for people to see it. And this becomes especially important with our older adults. The other thing is, of course, the issue of cognitive impairment. So when you're teaching older adults, you do have to understand that there is a gap. They're not going to be learning as fast as your younger learners did. They won't grasp things as fast. They might need to repeat it a couple of times, more than a couple of times. They might need more detailed instructions. I've also found that since remembering things is difficult, it sometimes helps if they just write it down. Right? So things like that so we have to keep in mind that these are issues that come with adult learners, and we have to be accommodating of that and cognizant of these things as well. The other thing is, of course, security. The Some of the adults who stay away from it are just staying away from technology because of the fear of privacy, of security and invasion of privacy, while the others who do embrace it are not really as aware of how they can be taken advantage of. And so when you are teaching adults using technology, you want to make sure that you have provided them with tools that where they know what privacy issues are going to be like when they get into it. For example, when we're using D2L now, I know that it is a platform where your information is going to be kept secure. So I am confident of that. I would not put your grades or save your grades on an Excel spreadsheet anywhere or on Google Drive because I don't have privacy there. So those are things you want to think about when you're working with technology. And I think that's for any learner population actually. So as you're reading through these things, think about all this and remember these things. The last thing is, of course, Sims, who talks about instructional design models. Now, when you look at these models, I really want you to think about what is the difference between these models? What is the essential difference between them? And how will that inform my practice? Why do we have so many models? Are they really different? So again, critical thinking, synthesizing what you're learning, applying it to what you could do is what I'll be looking for. And we're going to be touching on all these topics in our discussions during the module.